Hey, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Politics and Wellness. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and uh, my co-host, MrCredentialed, is not with us today. He is still um, doing what grown men do, which is taking care of responsibilities, so on and so forth. So he won't be with us today. So it's just me and you guys as usual. So you are my co-host today. So hopefully we can get down to the meat and potatoes of a lot of things. So with that said, with you all being my co-host for this evening, I don't see anybody in the chat, but hello to the four of you that are watching. Hold on one second. Let me just put the link in here just in case anybody wants to come on and share some thoughts of anything going on in the world that you wanted to talk about or that you wanted me to talk further about. Yeah, there you go. Um, so, again, welcome to Politics and Wellness. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and today you are all my co-host. What's going on, T. Daniels? How you doing? What's going on, uh, Micah Baby Green? What's going on? Hey, Patty Duke, how are you? Nice to see you. Yes, I am back. I took a couple days off for my birthday to kind of celebrate and step away from a lot of things. I popped in here and there, but didn't really focus too much on it. But a lot is going on in the world, especially here in the United States. There's a few things I know I wanted to touch on. So, and believe you me, this won't be a ranting session. So if you have some input or you want something to kind of add to the conversation, please feel free to do so. The link is also in the chat. I just ask that you be respectful and we can have a debate and really talk about some things and get clarity on both sides, whatever side you happen to stand on. I think that's great. My birthday was great, Petty Duke, and thank you all for your support, text messages, messages on Instagram. Uh, it's escaping me. The cash apps, yeah, all that. Thank you so much. It was greatly appreciated. Um, birthday is always different when you lose loved ones. So for some reason, this one was a bit different. But it was good. I was still able to enjoy it. I guess because usually it's always the hustle and bustle of moving around and being that couldn't really do anything. It gave more time for reflection and thought. So I do appreciate all of the well wishes and love and stuff. And yeah, had a good time. Um, thank you. Glad to be back. Glad to be back. But it's always good to kind of take a break and step away. And don't get too because it takes a lot. I mean, you don't think about it as it being a lot, but to actually uh, have stuff to talk about or do research or reading articles and all this kind of it's a lot, and definitely when you have other stuff going on. So um, it was definitely nice to take a breather. But anyway, as we get back to it, what did you say, bro? Your question. To all the questions. President putting soldiers in harm's way because of Russia. Yeah, we can talk about that. We can definitely talk about that. Um, but anyway, before I get started and rambling on, hello everybody who's just coming into the chat. Hello. Welcome. Thank you for the happy belated birthday. It feels like I'm lagging a bit, so just let me know if it's freezing or lagging because on my end it looks like it's lagging, but I don't know. StreamYard sometimes be acting up. All right, so let's first get into this whole Russia thing. President Trump, of course, he always denies everything. He said he didn't know anything about Russia putting bounties on American soldiers' heads in Afghanistan. Do I believe it? Absolutely not. I believe he was briefed about it, but he chooses to ignore a lot of things. And he has people set up in places to cover up um, and not be forthcoming with what actually happened. And the issue with this is the leaks, of course, are coming, but they always come late. So there is some sort of, it's freezing a little. Yeah, I saw that. I don't know why. Hold on one second, guys. Let me just. I don't know. I don't know if that made it better or not. I don't know. Yeah, I still see it like kind of lagging. I don't know. It might be StreamYard because I don't have anything else up. Maybe if I close that. Mm, I have no idea. But okay. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, so I was saying Russia basically has been doing a lot of dirt, and Trump has just not said anything about it or addressed any of it. They've been flying warplanes close to Alaska. They've been having warships in the sea close to Alaska. I mean, all these things kind of taunting the military to either take action or what have you. And Trump doesn't even talk about it, let alone if he is confronted about it, he denies it or says he didn't know anything about it. I believe he knew a lot about it. There's stories coming out now that he'd known about the Russia putting bounties on Americans' head in Afghanistan for about a year now. And I find that, I mean, I'm not surprised. I do believe that there is something that Russia has on him where in which they're allowed to do these type of things and he doesn't say, too much of anything because he knows that if he steps too much, Putin will expose him and that'll be the end of that. Maybe. Who knows? The way these Republicans act right now, I don't think there's too much of anything at this point that they would crucify, and no pun intended, Donald Trump for. I think they will still find a way to kind of dance around it. So yeah, that I find that very disheartening. And again, for Republicans to be so pro America, I really find it funny how they are okay with Russians interfering or even foreign countries, period, interfering with our political process, whether it be from the president directly or even in campaigns. And that brings me to the first story. How you doing, Armand? What's going on, man? There was a story that the Republicans had a bill that, hold on one second. I had it here in my notes and I lost it. It dropped somewhere. Where'd it go? Gosh darn it. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, the Republicans removed the provision in this new bill that they're trying to push forward called the National Defense Authorization Act that would require political campaigns to report if any foreign country reached out to them and offered assistance. However, the Republicans stripped this from the bill. So, I at this point, I think everybody's looking at whatever can get them elected, they will do. Um, Trump has opened the floodgates to allow this to be the, I don't want to even say new norm, but just something that is accepted to the point where people are now just politicians are looking for it. They're accepting it. But the problem that they will soonly run into that they're not the president of the United States, and people will push them out of office or force them to resign compared to being the president. I mean, the president is just really a vote and that's it. The only way you can get kicked out of office, of course, is you do some impeachable offenses, and then you have to go through the process of the hearings, as we've seen, then the Senate trial, as we've seen as well, and then the Senate has to basically vote you out. And that's more of a process than you getting so much political heat, not only in your state or your city or what have you, but in the media as well, to the point where people say, okay, yeah, I think it's best you step down. And that when you're the president, you have some safeguards there to where in which you can do what he's done, is just ignore it and, spin it as fake news. And, you have people actually promoting that and you move forward. It's unfortunate that we live in the time and age that we do. Because I mean, at one time, it's like, or at one point, media and video and all those type of things are helpful, and it brings a new light and it shines awareness to things that may have been covered up in the dark previously. But at the same time, it has allowed for this rise in I don't know, just bigotry and boldness in a sense, to keep the truth at bay, to have the media or even the news. The newspaper used to be the place where you would go and actually find the truth on a story, or really get in depth in what's going on in the world. And now you have places like Fox News that gloss around the actual truth, throw out things out there. You have the president himself who watches Fox News and then spits the same stuff out to people, and then they, go and believe it, so on and so forth. And the cycle continues. So I don't know. I think we definitely need to get to a place where in which we start doing research for ourselves, and we start knowing, getting at least as much information as we possibly can, and deciphering for ourselves, what's true and what's not true. So I think we definitely need to get to a place of that nature. But yeah, so as I was saying, there is a bill that has been put before the Senate back in, or the floor, excuse me, back in, when did they say? The measure has been in place since 2016, actually. Like once they discovered Donald Trump may have been asking the Russians for help, or the Russians were assisting Donald Trump, this measure has been put in place. However, the Republicans have, being that they have control of the Senate, they have taken a part of that bill out. And the part of the bill that they stripped was that political campaigns were required to report any foreign help that they had gotten from anywhere, and they had to report it. So the Senate Republicans seem to have taken this out amidst, what had happened to President Donald Trump. We shall see if this is beneficial when November comes, to find out who's been, who else has received help. Who knows? I have no idea if, I don't think it's wise for any of them to use foreign help at this moment. I think that it would do nothing but in their career. What's the point in that? So I don't know as far as that's concerned, but let me hear your thoughts on that. Let's see. Fox News, what did you say? Fox News is just the show. It isn't news. Yeah, that's very true. I think so too. But some people believe it. They keep it on 24/7. He is a horrible businessman, and that's the part that gets me. I don't understand how people say, "Oh, he's good for the country because he's a businessman." How? Real businessmen have thriving businesses. If your business is not thriving, then you are not a successful businessman. I I mean, 6 bankruptcies does not qualify as success. All he does is sell his name. I believe some of the senators are fearful of that man. Yeah, some of them are, but to my but my question is, even why? Why are you that fearful? Because the base will not vote for you. But does country come before when does country come before um, you wanting to be in office? That's where I lose respect for a lot of people, sometimes on both sides, because it's like, then what are you doing this for? If you're not doing this to better the nation and just to pad your own pockets, then you're no better than the person in the White House. And that, again, goes for both sides. Um, but if you're actually there to make a difference and move the country forward, then it wouldn't matter if the president, whomever he is, Republican or Democrat, if he's wrong or if he's done something to where you feel was against the United States, then you would stand up and say, this is absolutely wrong. And I just think that that's just flat out wrong. Hey, Miss T, how you doing? The association with Russia. Yeah, there is an association with Russia, of course. There's some money given to Russia. There's some money that Russia gave, whether it was to clean up some dirty money that Russia had. They have been funneling it into the Trump brand for years now. And Trump knows this, and so does Vladimir Putin. Um, it's like, I don't understand why the Republicans on the other side of the aisle, and even some of the Democrats, take a harder stance. Like, listen, we cannot have this. Like, this is not acceptable. This is not even what we do as a country. But it seems to just be like, we'll just let it go. This is how he rolls. And it's like, no, we should not accept that, because if we accept that for him, then that means we would have to accept that for everyone after him, and that's not the way this should be. He should be a one-term president. And personally, I don't think, if you want to put him in a history book, I think he should get like a corner page, and that'll be it. Like a little paragraph that he was president from this, and this happened, that happened, and then that's it. I just I don't see it. I don't really see it. He's never been a patriot. He's an opportunist. Yeah, of course he's an opportunist. He's always been that. He's always been that. Yeah, the end game has always been money, but that's for all of them. The end game is money. Money laundering, perhaps. Yeah, definitely money laundering, big time. How you doing, Queen Diva? Lobbyists and senators are too deep and we're frustrated. Yeah, but that's the thing too. I believe you, Miss T Velocity. I believe that once you start to unearth Trump's dealings with Russia, everybody's dealings with Russia will be exposed, and you'll start to look at a lot of people sideways. I think there's some people on the other side, on the Democratic side, who has some dealings with Russia too, because again, it's all about money. It's all about who can pad their pockets, and I think a lot of people have padded their pockets with the Russians, but they won't let them in. You know what I'm saying? Like, Russia's trying to pay to get into the club, but the club owner is still like, no. And they like, okay, how about if I slide you this? No, how about if I slide you this? But they found someone who they can slide money to, who would at least let them. All right, if you go, I'll go around back, and I'll kind of let you in that way. And they found it through Donald Trump. So I don't know. Yeah, it will be a domino effect, of course. I just hope that. My hope is that we don't have to wait 5 and 6 years with another president to all of a sudden all this stuff comes falling out the trees like, oh yeah, Donald Trump did this and he did that and he did this while he was in office. And it's like, what the hell? Like, and nobody stopped this. Nobody felt it was, their duty as an American citizen and as a government official to say, hey, this is, you've gone too far. But I don't know, just crazy, just really, really crazy. Let's see what else I had. I definitely want to talk about that. Real quick, let's talk about this Trump campaign abruptly canceling a rally plans in Alabama due to the coronavirus spreading rapidly in a lot of states, in which the governors of these particular states was kind of towing the line with Trump, almost to say, it wasn't real, or, they were going too far and they were just ready to release the sanctions and have people just roam free like they were. We were, not we, but that the government was going against people's civil liberties, and they weren't able to just be free and be themselves and not have to wear masks and so on and so forth. And now a lot of these same governors are having to backtrack, like Texas. Alabama has just canceled a rally due to the scare of the spread of the coronavirus and the numbers actually climbing. Even though the vice president came on TV a couple of days ago and said that they've beaten the curve. But that's funny. If you beat the curve, then the numbers would be going down and not up. I just think they're just ill-informed, uneducated, ignorant to the actual facts. They don't want to know the facts. They don't care about the facts. They are willing to sacrifice people if they have to. That's just unfortunate. I mean, that's not something you look for in a leader. You look for someone who is willing to handle something head on and protect the people of the nation. You don't look for someone who's like, well, it's all right. Well, if it comes here, it comes here. Maybe we can all, let it happen, and whoever is immune to it will stay immune, and we can move forward. Because at this point, that's just where we're at right now. He said it. The president has said himself that he stopped testing because the numbers were looking bad. Of course, the numbers will look bad because you would need to find out who has it and who doesn't. But you're so concerned, and this is what happens when you have television stars, because I wouldn't even say whatever, because he is a television star, run political offices. It's a different game. Television is all about numbers. So they're constantly making sure that they're doing the most to spark up the numbers, to make sure people are watching and tuning in. And that's all he's good for. He is a shock jock, just happens to be president of the United States. He thrives off of going to the rallies, saying racist and bigoted stuff, feeding to his base, and then going home. You see when he gets off of Eagle One, which is the helicopter, he looks like his puppy died. Only because he thrives off of people cheering his name and all that kind of stuff. He likes that. When he doesn't have that, because he doesn't get that at home, because you couldn't tell me that him and his wife sleep together. Absolutely not. I don't believe it. And I think their one child was just an arrangement, and that's what it was. But thank you so much, Punitive Damage. Thank you. It's just a bit crazy. What'd you say? April season in Texas. It's communication about governor. Yeah, you do want everybody wants the economy to stay afloat because, of course, people's jobs are at risk. Their housing is at risk, a lot of things. But at the same time, with you thriving to want the economy to stay afloat, how else do you protect the people? Because if you let it take the people out, you still have no economy, because people wind up getting sick and dying because the hospitals will not be able to take everyone. They won't be able to treat everyone. So a lot more people will be dying. So then still the economy will be affected. But I don't know. They just need to definitely do it. And yeah, that vaccine is shady. I wouldn't do it either. Um, I'm sorry. I just wouldn't. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, you think who had a stroke? Donald Trump? Yeah, money definitely moved Melania, of course. But yeah, that's just a yeah. I'm sure it's arranged as well. So that's the only time he gets. Oh, thank you so much, Brielle. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, thank you. So yeah, I don't know with that man. He just irks my last nerve sometimes, and the fact that we have to give him so much airtime, that every time he gives a speech, they actually have to have it on TV. I just be like, can't they just briefly go to him and then go to something else? Let Fox News have his whole rallies and things, and a lot of the other news outlets are starting to do that. But at first, they would show the whole rally, and it's like, come on, um, nobody wants to see that. We already know what it is and what it gives. We knew from the start with the "Make America Great Again." We knew what America they were talking about. Although the rest of America wanted to ignore it and say, "Oh no, you're going too far. I don't think that's it. He just wants to make it better." Blah 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 blah. Yeah. So now we're at a place where you got to see a few people um, succumb to police brutality and violence on camera, and just recently, George Floyd, and now people are starting to say, "Oh, well, maybe he did mean that America." Um, and that brings me to this lovely. It's a two-parter, so please. Oh, thank you so much, Queen Diva. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Um, that brings me to my other part. And this one, again, is not going to be a rant, I promise. But I just, oh, I don't. Um, John Wayne Airport in Orange County, California. John Wayne, of course, died in 1979. He did an interview with Playboy back in 1971, where he was cited to say some kind of racist and bigoted things. He actually said in the article that he believed that white supremacy, he believed in white supremacy until blacks are educated to the point of responsibility. I do not believe in giving authority and positions of leadership and judgment to irresponsible people. He also felt no remorse for subjugation of Native Americans and called the movies Easy Rider and Midnight Cowboy perverted. Now, I haven't seen those movies, so I don't know. I mean, I will probably watch them, but I'm not a fan of westerns, so I mean, I'll watch it at some point to kind of get what he was talking about there. But um, so they want to take John Wayne Airport, take his name off the airport. The family, of course, is against it. My whole thing is, I'm curious, do they get money? I don't know this. I was looking it up to see if they get some kind of government subsidy or whatever because their family member is named at the airport, or if it's just just because when you go to the airport, it's named after your grandfather or whatever. Um, do you feel pride in that? I don't know. I'm still looking into that. But um, I mean, I, are we not surprised? I think a lot of people, and the article went on to say that because they want to definitely take his name off because it is the home of Disneyland, and they don't want that kind of, with his language from the interview and all that kind of stuff, to kind of tarnish Disneyland. But let's be very clear: Walt Disney himself was a white supremacist, and he did not like Jewish people as well. So I'm confused. So then I'm a bit confused. Like, what do we? And I get it that a lot of people are waking up to, and I say a lot of people, I mean a lot of the other people are, and no offense to white people watching or who may watch this later on, but a lot of people are waking up to the idea of, oh, it's not been so great. These people have not been great pioneers and moved America forward in this shiny way, to where in which we were all holding hands together and like, yay, look at the strides we've made as Americans. No, a lot of these people have stolen ideas from others, be them slaves or indentured servants or what have you, and made it their own. They've stolen land from people. They have, done a lot of things to obtain what they have. I guess they would just, yeah. I mean, they will at some point just have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable kind of conversation. But it needs to happen. Like, the veil needs to come off, and they need to know the truth. But again, that is the problem when you have when you push out a format of education that only highlights these founding fathers as great men, and as men who moved the country forward, who fought for independence. And this, is somewhat true, not taking that part away, but we don't talk about the fact, we gloss over, like, Thomas Jefferson, for example. We make it, they even make it seem out to be like some kind of love story. And it was not a love story between him and Sally Hemings. Sally Hemings was like 13 or 14 years old when she came into the house of George Washington, because she was the daughter of George Washington's wife, which made her which made them sisters. But she was only 13 and 14 years old. So to make it like it was some kind of love story, it was not. She was property. And she probably was the only man that she's been with. So at some point, she might have felt some kind of affection for him because she didn't have anything else. But we know historically that he did not release her. He didn't even release her on his deathbed. Her daughter had to, as she took ownership of her own mother, released her and freed her. She was not even free even after he was dead. She stayed in the basement, in a secret room in the basement that they really just unearthed about a couple of years ago. And I know a lot of you do remember that the family, the Jefferson family, they were battling between the Hemings and the actual Jefferson descendants about about ownership and kind of coming together. Some of them did kind of come to an agreement. So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, there's a lot of history that has been whitewashed, no pun intended, but kind of made like a fairy tale. Like all these, and you don't kind of follow You don't really get deep into the indiscretions of these people. You kind of gloss it and make it, oh, he's such a great person. George Washington, another example. He was hard on his slaves. Like, he really was. We call him the founder and the father of the nation. But he was a slave owner. And yeah, they tell you that he was pretty brutal as a slave owner. So, again, it's one thing to praise these people and to be all like, oh, they did great things, but it's another thing to actually know the truth about what they did. And so therefore we all can learn the truth and know exactly what happened, and not, again, make it out to be some kind of fairy tale kind of situation. And then now that a lot of people have been ripped from their fairy tale and feel like somebody's taking their history and their heritage from them, because it's always made you feel like your race is superior because you created this, you made this, you designed this, but you did not. The very capital itself was designed by a black man, but nobody ever, they don't really talk about it. The only time they talk about that is when? In February. Other than that, you don't really hear anything else about it. So I mean, I just don't get it. America has always been trash. Walt Disney is trash too. Agreed. Yeah. Is there? Okay. I gotta watch that. I saw it revealed that they claim that no one knew about the basement. I don't find that to be true. I think they did know about the basement. I think they knew about the basement. Because I'm sure he's written about it. As much as they like to, you mean to tell me, as much as they like to go through Jefferson's diary and pull out these love stories that he wrote to his dead wife, as well as to Sally Hemings, and he never wrote that she was in a different room that happened to be like sealed off with like this private wall. Yeah. And I'm just appalled that you couldn't even, if you loved her so much, as you claim all the time that they gloss this. Oh, he loved Sally Hemings so much. Yeah, you loved her so much that you couldn't even free her on your deathbed. That her own child, who you was a part in raping her to make that child, had to free her in order for her to be free, which is, just sad altogether. And I think that that's the only way we start to grow and kind of come to a place where we begin to understand each other, is like take away the fairy tale, even with the Confederate monuments and all that coming up, because that's a doozy. That's what I really wanted to get to. I was really like, he said what? And so I put it in the newscast this afternoon, but I really wanted to, and I had to run, by the way. So sorry about that I wasn't fully in the chat, but emergency had to pop up, so I had to run real quick. But so that's what I really wanted to get into. In talking about that, let's talk about Donald Trump did an interview on Sunday with his favorite Fox News, and talked about the interviewer asked him, how does he feel about monuments wanting to come down? And he said that we don't know our history. And in fact, if we choose to ignore our history, then we will repeat it, or we will find ourselves repeating it again. Now, I was like, when I first read it, I was like, so what is he trying to say? We're going to be slaves again? If we choose to continue to fight to take down monuments that glorify a part of history where in which we were not even considered people, but property. And that is the problem that I even have with even the police brutality, and people go, oh, but white lives matter, but blue lives matter. Still, you still negating the fact that they're people, that black people are people. They're human beings and their lives should matter. It's almost like, you know, somebody giving somebody something and the other person is like how children are sometimes. If you give them something and they have same like two of the same thing, and they go, well, mine does this, mine could do this. And you're like, well, okay, but mine can do it too. But no, but mine can, you know, and it's just like, well, because you don't see that person, you don't see those people, you don't see us as people. A lot of people, not saying everybody, but there's a few people that don't see, you know, like, oh, they're this, oh, they're that. It's that whole kind of when you don't really know, you know by what you hear on the radio or what you hear on TV, and you let that consume you to, oh, these are how these people are. So this is what it is, and it's like that's not. If you actually took the time to again do research, read, inform yourself, you'll find out, okay, they're all not like that. Just like a lot of them are a certain way. We assume a lot of them can be one way, and we get to know some, and we're like, okay, they're not that bad. Don't mean they're all good or they're all bad, but it's the same thing that we just, I don't know. I just found it to be really funny and hypocritical of him to talk about somebody needing to know their history, and we shouldn't be taking down monuments of slave owners because it's history. What? Like, first of all, they should have never been erected. And as soon as, but again, that, let me backtrack. Of course, a lot of the Democratic governors and stuff were of a particular race, and they believed in the Southern will rise again theme. A lot of Southerners just believed in that, and especially with the rise of the Jim Crow laws and segregation and all that, that was, those monuments and statues and things were put in place to make sure that we always knew what our place was in society and who was greater, and you know who had the greater upper hand. So with that said, it's like when you know that, all right, you get to a place where now people are starting to go, okay, I don't believe that. I believe it's racist. It stems from racism. So it needs to be changed. And instead of people going, you know what, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry. I didn't see it that way because personally, I was never taught that. I was taught it was an honorable thing. I was taught, these white men, fought and stood their ground. And my granddaddy, my great granddaddy, that was his farm and he was fighting for his farm. No, not really. No, not really. He was fighting for his farm, all right. Yeah, sure. He was fighting for his farm because he was afraid, as they all were, that these slaves were going to get free and then do a lot of the same things that was done to them, to these white people, to these white sharecroppers and low farmers and everything like that. And the rich plantation owners let them believe that, hey, if you don't fight this war, they're gonna come and rape your women and take your land. And you see this money I give you for you kind of overseeing the plantation, they're gonna come and take that. You won't have this. And that's all this has been. And this has been an ongoing thing to where in which, it's always, hey, look, you're better than them. I mean, they've done it to many Latin people, people from Latin areas, people from the islands. It's this whole kind of European, Anglo-Saxon kind of mentality that if you're white, you're better. And the funny thing is, like, okay, you think that, but some people really believe that. I just saw a video, and I don't know if it's staged. It looked a little staged to me, but even still, the concept of it was a bit appalling. It was a Spanish man ripping down Black Lives Matter posters on a school fence. He said he lived across the street from the school, which I don't believe he did, but because I didn't see no houses when the camera panned kind of around, it didn't look like no houses was across the street. But he said he got tired of looking at it and he didn't want to see it anymore. So they're like, okay, but do you not? Then my thought was, well, do you not know that you are a person of color too? I mean, you may not be African American to the degree of that, but you are still a person of color. And the fact that you don't even see yourself as a person of color, that is just like, as long as you're not black, you're better. Oh, there it goes. Okay. It just froze for a second. Oh, everything's on. I don't know. Everybody must be on or something because it's really acting up. But as long as you're not black, you're better. It's really ridiculous to me how many people like really believe that. Like they really believe that because you're not black, you're better. There was a video of a Dominican guy, calling black people monkeys and telling other Dominicans not to walk in Black Lives Matter or protest with monkeys because we were black monkeys. But I'm just trying to understand that you do know that the Dominican Republic and Haiti are on the same on the same piece of land. There is nothing that separates them but a border. And you're on the islands, no less. The same islands that slave traders came through and dropped off Africans. So you may be of lighter hue. Yes, I give you that. Some of you. But they don't make you white. I'm at a loss. Like I really am. And maybe somebody can explain it where I can understand it and go, okay, that's okay. Because I don't. Island is called Hispaniola. Oh, okay. But I just don't get it. It's like you're still a person of color. I don't, because you batting for them, but at the same time, let it come your way or let you do something that they don't agree with, and you're in the same boat. So just because your hair is lighter and your complexion is lighter, you think, okay, well, I'm white. So I'm at least better. I just don't. I don't get it. I don't get it. I think that's a failure on a lot of parts. That is a huge failure on a lot of parts, and I'm not even sure if I could fully put the blame on the white person for that one, because I just don't. I don't get it. I really don't. Even there was an African woman that was like, "Oh, you want stuff to do? You want things to go better? Get a job, and this, that, and the other." And I'm just like, I know some people do these things to kind of get, praise or get noticed or get their 15 minutes of fame, but it's the image that is being put across when we have other people who get discriminated against pushing this whole, oh, well, if you just did this, this would be better. Like, they don't want you here either. You're no different. If it's not one of an African American happens to be and have a situation with someone of different skin, then it's you. Because then you are the immigrant. You are the same immigrant that they're trying to build a wall up against. So for you to sit there and go, well, all you people need to do is get a job and stop standing out here protesting and work. Okay, but you're here and you're not from here, because you can tell from your dialect that she was not from here. So, or her diction, that she was not from here. So it's like, okay, cool. We need to stop protesting and go to work, right? That's what she said. We need to stop protesting and go to work. All right. So when that immigration bill goes through, because again, everybody's warped to thinking it's just immigrating people from Mexico. No, 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 no. It was everybody. It's anybody that they can go, oh, what? No, you're not supposed to be here. Oh, you've been here too long. It's just a focus on building the wall and doing all that kind of stuff. But they were deporting people from anywhere. Mexico, Jamaica, wherever. If they saw you and there was an infraction that you may have done or didn't do, they were sweeping you up real quick. And there are a lot of people right now in detention centers and immigration detention centers trying to get their moment in court, so they don't get deported. But all of this is still happening, even in the midst of this coronavirus. What happened? Excuse me. Let me just let's see. I'll scroll back up. Hold on. Hey, Haitian Queen, how you doing? Sorry, I was. The flip side is that they need to know more positive representative of ancestors. Oh, that's a good point. What they did get is the thing to move on from. Yeah, but you can't wipe it away. It's still like there's you can't wipe it away. And that's the funny part. Like people try to erase it, but civilization started in East Africa. All of civilization can be traced back to East Africa. So as much as you try to eliminate or take blackness out of the conversation, even out of the history books, when we all die, our skin turns dark. So, I mean, it's like, and if you want to play that whole, well, God made us from the dirt, and, what color is dirt? I've never seen white dirt. Anybody seen white dirt? I'll wait. If you've seen some white dirt, please let me know, because I want to know what white dirt looks like. Hey, maybe, how you doing? Because I've never seen white dirt, so I'm just saying. You say San Francisco, the white people remain Filipino, but not white. Interesting. Validate this big one. No, there's some people who acknowledge empathy only. Right, but we've taught to not be empathetic to people and not to even show sympathy, because again, it's the superiority of like the Darwin theory. Only the strong survive kind of thing. That is a basic thing of not even showing empathy to anybody. It's like, oh, if you don't survive, that's on you. I don't have nothing to do with that. And that is kind of the mindset or the mantra that a lot of people live by, which, it's sad and unfortunate. But from outside the diaspora, have also fallen under the propaganda of imagery. Yeah, I believe that to be true. True history. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, research and reading is definitely something that we all need to get involved into. And they have audible books now, so you ain't even got to really like read a book. You can listen to a book, and that's the crazy part that I still feel like people there's so many advances to where in which you can educate yourself and inform yourself that don't involve you actually sitting and cracking a book open, that people still don't do. That I'm just like, what? Like, you could really be washing clothes. I've done it. Um, Doing exercise and listening to a whole book. I mean, I still, because I like to visually see stuff. So if I hear something that may spark my attention, I'll jot it down or save the chapter or something like that. But you can really educate yourself. And the fact that we choose not to, that a lot of us make the choice not to, is really disheartening. So when he says messages like, listen, if you continue to take down monuments and things and destroy our culture, he said, our culture, our history, you may find yourself in it again. I mean, we're already in it. Prison is slavery. Prison is slavery. You have this trafficking of young people, whether girls, boys, whatever. There was a house in, I want to say it's Minneapolis, one of the M's, either Minneapolis or Michigan. They found that the police, some of the police officers were taking people and putting them in vans. I don't know if it was a true story or not. I haven't seen anything else on it, but it did come across my feed. So I was just like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Um, so it's a lot. It's a lot that plays into this thing of this problem that this country has with race and acknowledging, because that's funny. They only acknowledge certain things. Like all day, they'll acknowledge the Holocaust. And I wonder, are you acknowledging the Holocaust because they were white Jewish people, or because they were Jewish people altogether, and you know the ties that the Israel has with the United States? I don't know, but there's always this huge thing of like, you talk about the Holocaust. We in school, you read the Diary of Anne Frank, all these things. Um, Yet and still, we barely read anything about the Holocaust in the United States that happened due to slavery. You read, what did I have to read growing up, at least in school? Uncle Tom's Cabin and the Frederick Douglass. Yes. And it was just like, okay, but what else is out there? And I just happened to be an inquisitive kid. So it was just like, okay, I'm going to find other stuff out there. And I found other stuff and was like, oh, okay, didn't know that, didn't know this, didn't know that. But why? Why didn't I know it? And I just happened to be lucky, especially in grade school. I went to a predominantly black school, but we had teachers that taught us about other people other than your regulars. They really went in depth and said, "Hey, I know you know about this person, like Rosa Parks, for example, but did you know that there was somebody before Rosa who happened to be a young girl who refused to give her seat to a white person and was arrested? But they didn't use her because she was young, and they needed to have someone who had a little bit more backing behind them to push this push what they were trying to do, which was to end at least the segregation on the bus, and push for it, of course, to then pushing for to segregation and the right to vote, but mainly the right to vote. um, so there's a lot of things that even back then the media was used to help shine a light on a lot of things that were happening. So that's why sometimes I look at it like when people say, "Oh, They shouldn't always show that. They shouldn't always show that. But why? Sometimes they should. Sometimes it brings attention to certain things. Like, I didn't like watching that man die in front of my face like that, and like an animal or something like that. But at some point, you'd have to look at it and go, all right, you're going way too far. And I think that's the kind of spark that happened. I mean, being home and having to just nothing to do but watch TV or kind of keep yourself busy helped elevate it. Because of course, as I said before, that I think if we were on our daily lives as usual, going to work and it would have been an outcry, but it wouldn't have been as much as to me. It wouldn't have been as strong as it was, because the same thing had happened with Michael Brown. The same thing had happened with, countless others. And, we had the marches. They're down there asking for change. And then what happens? People just go and disappear and it fades out. I had to educate myself on Black history because of what I was taught in school, and I'm learning the truth and still learning, right? And that's okay, and we have to understand that too, that it is okay to learn. You have to constantly be learning. You constantly engage yourself. Get around other people. And they don't necessarily have to be, people of your same race, but they have to be willing to have the conversation. And you can talk about the things that maybe you may know or that you thought of, and somebody, oh, actually that's not true. It was this, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll look into that. I'll research that. This is the only way that we could truly kind of get to a place of, I'm here, you're here, I see you. Because right now we don't. It's like, yeah, you have to keep saying Black Lives Matter because nobody is seeing it. And again, we're not talking about certain Black lives. We're talking about all Black lives. So even for people of the LGBT community, of transgender women that are dying, sometimes at the hands and the behest of Black men, due to the stigma of being, I don't want to say necessarily gay because maybe people don't see themselves as gay, but trans attracted, as that's still a man, and people being so fearful that they're going to be discovered or exposed, excuse me, a better word, that they wind up killing the person and then using that as the excuse. Oh, I didn't know that was a man. And they really sometimes get lesser sentences using that same, oh, I didn't know it was a man. He didn't tell me, or she didn't tell me she was born a man. Like, why are we like, it's just so, it's so crazy. So crazy. So crazy. I don't know. That's, people have been treated unfairly. These companies have knew that. Yeah, right. Exactly, TC. I definitely agree. All these companies knew that. They've been known about Aunt Jemima. They've always known about Uncle Ben. I mean, he's in a butler uniform. He's in a butler's uniform. So I don't know what you thought Uncle Ben was bringing you, but the bowl of rice. But Uncle Ben has always been in a butler's uniform, so I don't understand. Aunt Jemima has always been in that. Mrs. Butterworth has always been in a Southern cook kind of garb. So where did the awakening come from? The awakening came from, oh, people will stop buying the product. That's where they started to realize that, oh yeah, they do have buying power. And if enough people start saying, hey, let's stop buying that, they'll say, whoa. So we can't have that. So yeah, money will bring everybody to the realization that, oh no, this is problematic. We can't do this anymore. Money will. Even with the NFL, after George Floyd, they said, oh, we realized that we were wrong. And what Colin Kaepernick was doing was the right thing. I don't necessarily believe that. What I believe is after George Floyd, them players was calling the owners, they was calling their coaches and saying, hey, I cannot bring myself to go back on this field after watching that and knowing that what this what this organization had done to another black man who was trying to bring attention to that very thing. I don't want to be on that field. And so I won't participate. And they got enough calls and they got enough agents to get on the line and say, hey, listen, my player, he doesn't want to play. I don't know what to tell you. He doesn't want to play. To the point where, yeah, the NFL even had to come out and say, oh, no, we're sorry. We didn't know. We didn't realize. What do you mean? What do you mean you didn't know? You didn't realize? His death was not the only death that had happened at the hands of the police in front of our faces. You had the one guy, the officer, I forgot his name, I think it was North Carolina or South Carolina, who said that the guy was running, who grabbed his gun and he was running and shot him in the back. I mean, tons of other cases of visually seeing it. And you're like, what do you mean? Now all of a sudden you see it? No. You saw it, but you realize, wow, yeah, if the players stop playing or refuse to play, we're going to lose money big time. Because it's really not, I mean, even the fans, some of the fans may not even show up. Okay, cool. They may not show up at the stadium. The stadium lose money. But you know what some people still do? They will cut on the TV and watch it. They may not go and pay no ticket, pay no money for the ticket, but they'll watch it on TV. So, I mean, when you have to, and you really have to separate yourself. I know sometimes it's hard when we always say, oh, let's do a dark moment. Let's do a dark day. But in order for it to be substantial, you have to stick with it. You really have to stick with it. It cannot just be a one-time thing and you think you're going to get the attention of the corporation to go, hey, maybe we should look into this. Maybe we shouldn't do that. No, it has to be something where they feel this thing. Like, prime example, Facebook. Now, me personally, I feel that Facebook is in it. Facebook is all in it. Facebook get that Russian money and has had that Russian money, and that little Mark Zuckerberg is a bit of to me, I believe he's racist too. I don't care. I believe he's racist. But he, soaks up the money. He soaks up the money. The Russians give it to him. He throws out any ad that they deem okay, put it out. He throws it out. Then when he gets called on it, he does it Donald Trump. Oh, I didn't know. I don't look at that. I'm not involved in that department or anything. Really, sir? You're not? You're the CEO of this company and you don't see anything that's coming out of your company as far as ads are concerned that can affect the political process of this nation. You know exactly what's going on. You know where your money's coming from. You know who it's coming from. You know why it's coming. And as long as it's coming, you're not concerned about it. Only until the other companies who have advertisement marketing spots in his, on Facebook, like Starbucks and so on and so forth, said, you know what? We're going to pull our money from him. He lost $7 billion in one day. He went from, was he number 2 or number 3 richest person in the world to number 4. Now that upset him. That upset him. He went from number 3, maybe even number 2. I don't know exactly what it was, but he went from number 3, number 2 to number 4, and he's upset. Okay, and now the companies who have the ad space in Facebook are saying they don't know how long they will ban or they will not uh, pay for ads in Facebook. They don't know how long they'll do this whole boycott because he continues to pander to putting out false information, false political information to Facebook, and then say, well, Facebook is a free for all. No, Facebook is a free for all, yeah, but you still letting people spew racist and false political information to help Donald Trump because you are a fan of Donald Trump. But they're not the only one. Wendy's CEO, a lot of these other companies are doing it, and I wish that you just get together, you just sit down for a moment, do your research, find out who the big wigs are that funnel money into President Donald Trump's campaign, and just take a break. Take a break. Think of it as a fast. Think of it as a fast. If I think McDonald's is on the list, but I know for sure Wendy's is on the list. You like Wendy's? All right, stop going. And yeah, you think, oh, I'm just one person. That's not really gonna make a difference. But hey, if you get some people together and go, hey, we need to stop. Even the group of 5 of y'all, if y'all go every day and say, for instance, if it's McDonald's, you go every day for some coffee together, you get together with your friends or whatever, or, social distance or however you do it, cool. Just stop. Just stop. At some point, we have to stop feeding the beast because that's what we're doing. We can't sit here and go, why are we being treated this way? Why don't they see us? Black Lives Matter. This matters. Look at us when we're constantly giving to what they're giving out. If we stop giving to it, they'll start to pay attention. It's the same concept with it's the same right. And they banned Farrakhan for the same speeches and the same stuff that not only does Donald Trump say, but the rest of the world. But I say all that to say we just need to like take a step back and not feed the beast. It's what they did at the boycotts. They said, okay, with the bus boycotts in Montgomery, okay, you want to keep jailing us for the women and some of the men who work long shifts, okay, and got to walk to the bus stop. Mind you, the bus stops were not like how you see them now. You're talking about bus stops that may have been 2 miles to get to the bus stop before you can actually get on a bus. So somebody had to walk 2 miles to a bus stop and then sit in a seat and have to get up out their seat if some white man or woman decided that not that they couldn't sit in the front or wherever seat was available. No, they wanted your seat because they didn't want you sitting there. So they made you get up. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we were dealing with. So yeah, they created a network, and this is just what they did. They created a network to where in which they walked for a whole year. They carpooled. The churches got involved, and people with cars, and the people who knew how to fix cars did maintenance on cars for free. They, people picked people up. They did carpooling. They did all this for an entire year, donated shoes, all this for an entire year. And then what happened? They forced the bus company to go back and reconfigure their policy. It's not that it's impossible, because it is very possible, but you have to put your things together. And you can't just say, oh, I didn't like that, and then boycott it for a couple of days, and then you turn around and everybody going around back buying it. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. To see, like, people say, oh, I'm gonna black out and not do this on July 7th. Okay. You may hit it on July 7th, but if they know you're going to turn around on July 8th, okay, and buy, they're not really concerned about it. I mean, they'll take the dip, but if it's going to come right back on July 8th and July 9th and July 10th, they'll be okay. The thing about the Facebook ad thing and the companies pulling, Facebook had already known when they lost that big amount of money. They already knew, hey, people may not come back, because probably some of the companies were saying, hey, thanks, but we may not continue to do business. And these are big, a big chunk change for Facebook. Their ads that people pay, the Starbucks, the Nike, the this, the that, they pay big money to make sure that they pop up in your Facebook feed when you're scrolling or talking to your family. They make sure of it because they pay big money. But they also pay big money, and so does Russia. Russia been paying big money since this whole thing started, since they knew Trump was gonna run. Russia has been funneling money into Facebook like nobody's business, and Facebook has just been spewing out all kinds of stuff. And every time they get called on the carpet, he come looking like deer in headlights. He didn't know what was going on. He'll look into it, have his whole team create something to where in which they can better defend propaganda and race baiting going onto Facebook's platform. And look what happened. Nothing. Same thing. So I don't know. Black farmers did get support from any of the Black Farmers Association. Say. Yeah, but even with the Black farmers getting support, TC, which is a great point. The Black farmers got support, which is nothing but welfare, but they would call it, of course, subsidies to give it a better name. Oh, it's lagging. I'm sorry for the lagging. It's StreamYard or everybody's on or something crazy. But yeah, even the Black farmers, they didn't get support due to coronavirus and everything else. But you look what happened. White farmers got it, and in particular, white farmers in states that Trump won highly, that support him. That's where a lot of the farmers got support. Not all the farmers, even the white farmers, not all white farmers got support. A lot of the white farmers in states that Trump won highly in, they got support. Others, they got a little bit. But again, it's still welfare, whether you want to call it. I mean, they give it a nice name, subsidies and bailout. It's welfare, all same thing. It's still government money. Yeah, he is breaking laws, but I mean, when you white, you right? I mean that's basically what's being projected. Whether we want to believe it or not or accept it, we are projecting that when you're white, you can do and get away with a lot of things. When you're something else, not so much. It's the biggest lesson, the biggest projection there is. We're doing it right now. We're doing it as we speak. This man has broken so many laws that before him you'd be looking like, what? No, he would no. I mean, and again, it's the added notion that when people say, people of color have to work so much harder or be so much greater just to get where the average or basic white American is, that we have to do so much. It's proven right here in front of our face. You had a president before this one who literally had to be spotless and remain spotless the whole time just to ensure that he make it through to even get to the White House and stay there. And then once you get there, you're like, oh, well, I'm determined to make this man a one-term president. Okay, it didn't work, but look at everything they did stop, though. They stopped a lot. They really did stop a lot. So, and that's unfortunate. Yeah, there's certain things that I believe that he should have done. He should have said like, okay, this is my second term. I'm not gonna let them block anything. I'm gonna push everything through executive order. I believe he should have done that, but he felt, and I'm sure I'm not speaking for him, but just politically speaking, I think he felt like if he pushed all that stuff through, it wouldn't help Hillary get elected or whomever. Well, I guess they did know Hillary was going to run, especially after Joe Biden's son had passed. Um, he didn't want to make it harder for Hillary to win, but I mean, he didn't need no help. I think he should have just done it. Should have done whatever he was planning to do on his second term, but who knows. But anyway, you guys, it's been an hour and 21 minutes, 22 minutes. And white farmers do not want that money. They may want to farm. Yeah. No, I mean, that may be true. That may be true. A lot of them may not want the money. They just want to farm. But at the end of the day, they don't have anything to farm out. The tariffs had messed up their negotiations with other countries, especially China, that they give most of their products to. So then they're left with extra product and no one to sell it to. But they still got to pay their bills and maintain their farms. So of course they're going to take the money over the farm, and they're going to take the money over the farm so much so that they weren't even willing to give their products their products to food banks and situations just to give it away. No, they let it rot. So I mean, you get to a place where are you really thinking about the people? Are you really thinking about the money? Yeah, I think he was stifled too. I think he should have just he found himself in a tough spot on his second term, in which he wanted to do something, but he didn't want to ruin Hillary's chances to be elected by doing something that would pigeonhole her as, see, she's going to continue what Obama did and do this, even though they still did it. But I mean, even here nor there, I think it all would have been the same. But anyway, like I said, please, please, please continue to support not only me, but other content creators that popped in, Miss T Velocity, and many others who offer different other points of view on a whole bunch of other different things. I thank you all for supporting me and what I do, and MrCredentialed, just trying to bring a different light to not just the sector, but just bring something different, and where we can have dialogue about real issues and things that are going on that affect our communities daily, because that's only way we begin to really come to a place of understanding is that we learn. Knowledge is definitely power, and without it, that's the only way you grow. So once again, I'd like to thank you guys for stopping by and spending your time with me. Note that if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can leave them in the comment section, or you can email me at any time. It's always greatly appreciated. I definitely look forward to hearing from you all. And all I have until next time, have a great night. God bless and good night. Thank you.